Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of The Spotlight. This is your guest, Ada, and we're here today with Nicole Spiegel-Gotsch, who's a founder and CEO of Hello Maven. This is a consultancy dedicated to helping female founders build, launch, and grow their business. Nicole, would you mind introducing yourself to our audience?
Sure. Hi, Ada. It's so good to be with you today. Thanks for having me. So first of all, I work primarily with female founders, mission-driven, early stage, who want to have a social impact, and I help them build, launch, and grow their businesses through a combination of strategy consulting and business coaching.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Nicole. Really excited for this episode today. What we're going to be doing is we're going to take a look at a hypothetical plan and let people see how would you approach the journey of this company, taking in consideration you probably know nothing about them. So the name of the company is, I guess, Uva. So this is their website. Let me try to show my screen.
Okay, I'm going to need to put on my glasses for this.
This is their website. Might need a little good responsiveness help there, but it seems like they do hormone tests at home. So I'm guessing that we are targeting women. Right. Awesome. So this is the company that they will be looking at, and here is the journey that we have put together. So taking into consideration here 7 steps of the buyer journey, from step 1 being awareness and step 7 more like fidelity and the loyalty of the customers. If we give you this plan with no background, how would you approach this, and what would you prioritize from this list?
Well, I think I would probably look at it from a couple of different angles. The first thing I noticed is that they're targeting for fertility and perimenopause, and those can potentially be 2 really different ICPs or ideal customer profiles. They may have a different level of urgency, different sort of motivators, psychology. So I would want to look at what is happening on the site as users are going through it, do a little bit of social listening to see what the behavior is before, around what they're doing. And look at how much we're lining up what we're delivering in terms of content and marketing, and how well it fits with those ideal client profiles. Like, what are we really giving them what they want when they want it at each step of the journey? I think what we would find, and what they've probably found, not being behind the scenes at UVA, but there's probably overlap between these 2 audiences, and then there's areas where they diverge. So for example, if I were a woman and I'm not necessarily ready to get pregnant, but I'm concerned that I'm sort of getting older and that I might want to freeze my eggs, right? Mm-hmm. So that's sort of a very different mindset and a different level of urgency than someone who's younger, newlywed, and maybe just tracking fertility because they're going to try and get pregnant naturally. So it's really different sort of communication and approach to that. And I could even see, I think when we saw the site very quickly, even if you have some sort of something in your family, or if you have reproductive health concerns or issues that you already know are there, all of those things correlate to creating a different level of urgency for the customer, right? Yeah. And how well they want it to work, how much support they need around what they're, because I think they offer a kit and a subscription. Yeah. So whether or not I'm just going to use a one-time kit, or I'm going to subscribe, and I really want the wraparound experience of the community and coaching and all these other things, is going to be largely dependent on where I'm at in my reproductive health and journey, or the customer, let's say.
Yeah, absolutely. And how would you start then making the plan for them? Would you start the awareness with the same communication, or would you start making just those two lines from the beginning?
I think I would look at the data that whatever data they have. So assuming that they have some data, I'd look at where there's, I would look at where there's overlap and where they diverge. And I would plan my content mix against that. So there's going to be some sort of general education or information around like why hormone testing, what does it mean for me? How is this, how am I going to use this? That's going to apply to both, right? It's very sort of generic, almost hormone testing 101, right?
Yeah.
But then you're going to have the more specialized content for each, each type of profile that you're wanting to speak to. Another thing I was thinking of in terms of approach, anytime you have e-commerce, you want to look at, there's two things that occur to me. One is, where is their drop-off? Because wherever there's drop-off in the site, that might represent an opportunity. That might point to something that we're not providing that we could provide, so that it's not a drop-off, it's a conversion. Or it just might mean that the customer needs more time to make a decision. The other thing I would be curious about, and this is something that I would need inside information to know, what's the expected lifetime of the customer, right? Like, are they expecting that it's only going to be 6 months or a year? Because that's going to influence what type of offers we give. So if it's a short lifetime, then you're going to need to give, you want to know what basis that are you competing on, right? Is it more a price or utility kind of competition, or is it more lifetime value, community, ongoing support? Those are two really different propositions, and so we need to understand where the customer sits in that. Like, how long are they going to be with us, or how long do we ideally think they could be with us?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the product that they offer normally should be probably a couple of years, either for the newlyweds or even for those who are trying.
Right.
From probably what I've read, normally it takes at least a year or 2 years for these things to start like working once you start fertility.
Yeah.
So, taking that in mind, and I love your approach, these are the 7 steps that we have put together for them. So from 1 being awareness and 7 being basically loyalty, that would be more also like the community that they build around the users. How would you approach this plan that we have here? Is there anything you would change or add according to what you see?
So I think, for one thing, first of all, I love this visualization and the ability to visualize the buyer journey and organize it this way. I think it gives, it's a great tool for marketers, but it's also a great tool for a team to be able to look at it together and talk it through and have something to springboard off of that's concrete. As I'm looking at this, one thing is, I think when you have something that might not be, I don't know how established this brand is. So depending on how established the brand is, they may have to do more in this awareness area to get people to be an incentive. So these are great lead magnets. I think one thing I might do is customize them or make them a little bit more tailored to the ICPs. For example, hormone health checklist, could that be more compelling? Maybe like, what are your hormones trying to tell you? Or what are your hormones telling you? Something like that is kind of opens up the conversation, whereas they just download the checklist and that's it, they're done, right? Like, they did the checklist, okay. What happens after? Kind of give them that signal at the beginning that this is going to be a conversation and a starting point. And I love
that messaging. Absolutely.
Yeah, I also think that I might put something that's a little bit more deeply educational here in the beginning. Speaking to trying to cultivate that lifetime relationship or extend that lifetime of the customer. Maybe something, kind of some sort of information about why hormone tracking is relevant over the course of their lifetime, not just for fertility.
Maybe like a video, you would say?
A video. I was even thinking of like maybe something more engaging to sort of make them want to become part of the community. So whether that's like maybe it's office hours or an Ask Me Anything session or a podcast where every week people submit questions either through social or through the website and they get their questions answered. I think I like the Q&A idea, a lot of Q&A, because I think that's really going to be fun and interesting, and it's going to create community and take away a lot of the stigma that women feel.
And it would also give, I feel like, a lot of data with those questions.
Yeah.
It'll just tell you what are people really looking at, what are their doubts, and they should be able to tailor their message according to what their audience is literally telling them through this live Q&A. So I think that is a really good idea.
Yeah. So yes, so I think that's one thing I would do. The other thing, as I'm looking at this, is I see that we have the trial period for their, I guess that would be for their subscription product.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably play with the duration. You know, is it going to be a 7-day trial, a 14-day, or 1 month? And I would test that a little bit. And I might also even move up the limited time bundle offer. I might actually put that earlier, even though it's a really rich or high value incentive.
Yeah.
I would want to test it because I think that bundle might be more attractive than just, it's an opportunity to upsell.
Of course.
You know, and it also allows you to, again, sort of segment. You can see what percentage of the audience is really going to be those people who just want the subscription versus the whole membership. And then you can start to see, what's your makeup? Is it 80-20? Is it 50-50? Just by testing those two offers against each other.
Absolutely. In what stage would you move this?
I might put it in 2. Or maybe, you know what? Those who attend the live Q&A get this limited time bundle offer.
Yeah.
Because they've already expressed the higher level of interest to show up for something.
Yeah, and also like all of these, I feel like all of the stages at the end of the day, they connect with each other, because if they join the Q&A and we connect them to like an email list, we should be able to guide them through the whole funnel and see how engaged they are with the bundle offer. Yeah. So I think it's still also like a great idea to put it on number 2, and just see how they respond through this and through the like rest of the communication.
I also love the customized hormone report. I saw that there's a quiz on the site. I'm not sure what the results of that quiz look like because I didn't go through the steps. But depending on what the results of the quiz look like, that might be another opportunity to upsell. So they get this kind of preliminary broad strokes results from the quiz, or they get pointed to an area on the quiz, but then they get an offer for the customized hormone report as a next step if they want. And at the same time, I'm also looking towards the end with loyalty. I would imagine that they have a pretty engaged community and lots of success stories. I'm curious to know if they're considering sort of an ambassador program. I think that would be a great kind of loyalty stage thing to offer.
Love that. We would add that, stage 7, absolutely. Yeah. And how else do you think that they could have like a more engaged community and actually be present in the top of mind of their users throughout the year? Because this is probably something that you just do once a year, and you need to be in the top of mind for when that time comes.
Yeah, I don't know if they would do it once a year. I mean, let me think about that for a minute. I think I'm assuming that there's going to be content running in the background ongoing. That's through social and other channels. I don't know, like we don't necessarily have a place in here where we're doing our SEO. But I consider that sort of part of the pre-awareness and, paid media.
Yeah.
So I think we would definitely want to do some of that just to keep that top of mind brand awareness going year round.
What would you say, kind of like blogs who help with SEO? What would be your approach?
I would look again at those those ideal customer profiles and what sort of keywords and search terms, both long tail and short term, quick hit, seem to make sense.
Yeah.
And as much as and again, this is sort of where the social listening comes in. Try and incorporate that language of the ideal client. How are they thinking about it? How are they talking about it? How are they searching? I did notice in the quick view of the site, like a lot of times when you have a health product, sometimes we can get lost in the health terminology. So to the extent that we can, at least for search, put it in the customer's language, that's going to make a difference.
Absolutely. Awesome. Is there any other key takeaways that you'd like to mention to the audience before we finish this today's episode?
I think that a lot of times people tend to think of marketing as a one-way conversation where we're pushing messaging out. I really prefer to approach it as a dialogue. And you're having this dialogue because you want to offer value to your potential customer. And you want to create a community all the time, not just when you're trying to sell to them, because that's what creates relationship and creates trust. So especially if you're in a business where you want to have social impact or you have overarching mission, then it needs to be a little bit more than just an exchange, right? Or just push messaging, right? It's not just like I'm going to buy a product. It's like what kind of value are you giving to the customer? Are you listening to them? Are you understanding them? Are you meeting their needs, exceeding their expectations, right? Because I think that's where the real relationship and loyalty are going to be created.
100%. I totally agree. Definitely listening and being able to respond back with those words to them in a way that they understand, I think definitely makes an impact on the way that you market or that you market the business. Because mostly if I can understand you, I can buy from you. So definitely something that will be great to take into consideration. And before we wrap up, Nicole, where can people find you? Is it going to be LinkedIn?
Yes, they can find me on LinkedIn. It's or on my website, Hello Maven. It's HELLOMAVYN.com. And hopefully I'll get to meet some great people. I offer a free strategy session, 30-minute strategy call, and people have told me that they get a lot of value out of it. You'd be amazed at what we can accomplish in 30 minutes.
No, I'm 100% sure from our conversations. You're really a smart and brilliant woman. So I'm really grateful to have you here on the show today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And let's wrap it up.
Thank you. Thanks, Lita.